Hello all, this is a recording of our 15-minute forum based around understanding drivers of attendance, and it's research from Impact Ed in 2024. It's really interesting research based around attendance and reasons why students don't attend. So they studied 30,000 young people, and what they found is that attendance or drivers of non-attendance are intersectional. So I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. That a sense of school belonging or belonging to an institution is really important for attendance, and the way we frame non-attendance is really helpful. So what they mean by intersectional is often in education we look at certain groups' attendance. So we look at maybe free school meal students or pupil premium students on their own and their attendance. And then we might look at neurodiverse students or students with SEND separately. But what they found is students who miss most lessons have multiple disadvantages. So if you look here in primary school, if a young person had two disadvantages, so they had free school meals and they had SEND, their attendance was 90% across all primary schools, when school averages on an average were 94%. So in primary, if there's two disadvantages, free school meals and SEND, there's about a 4% difference between those students and students who don't have access to free school meals or don't have a SEND. When they looked at secondary school young people, what they found is, again, if those young people were accessed free school meals and they had SEND, their attendance on average was 82%, whereas the school averages were around about 92%. So what they're seeing is multiple disadvantages, specifically free school meals and SEND, lead to significantly lower levels of attendance as they move through their school. So you can see it gets wider as they move through primary, then secondary, and then understandably it then continues on. So there's two areas of disadvantage. When they can consider gender, it adds in another layer of inequality. So you can see here that males are red and then females are this bluey greeny colour. So they found that on average females' attendance was at least 4% lower, but again you can see it's actually getting wider as they move through their schools. So the most disadvantaged groups in terms of and the impact upon attendance is females who have free school meals and have SEND, so either have been diagnosed or may not have had a diagnosis. And when they combine those three together, they found that year 11 attendance, again, students who have free school meals, who are female and SEND, their attendance on average was 77%. So it actually puts their attendance lower than national benchmarks. So what it's getting us to consider is, instead of looking at one area of disadvantage, we have to look at how the three intersect. So it's really worth bearing in mind that the students least likely to attend are females with free school meals and SEND within our schools or institutions. They also found that the area across secondary school where attendance started to fall away was the transition between year 7 and year 8. And given we're a sixth form college provider, we are going to find that's a little bit more challenging because they've come from school and they're moving into college quite quickly. So that transition can be really challenging from year 7 to year 8. So it helps us appreciate that the transition to college can actually be that much greater as well. They found in their research that belonging was a key driver of attendance. So they found that females generally felt a weaker sense of belonging to the institution or a school, and as a result were less likely to attend. And 7% more of them found it much more difficult to form friendships. If we combine that with free school meals and SEND, we can see those additional challenges trying to find that sense of belonging. So it's really worth considering when we're looking at our groupings or we're sitting students. students that we know have those markers of female free school meal and send, it's worth really trying to sit them near or with students that we think they could form friendships and form relationships with. The other thing they found in the research was one of the key issues is young females feeling safe. So walking to school, being in school or an institution, and then returning back home. Their sense of safety can be a real key driver based around attendance as well. So again, if you look at these as questions they asked based around gender and however they felt a sense of belonging. They found on average female pupils are less likely to feel that sense of belonging in schools, and therefore it has an impact upon attendance. We know this, obviously we push a huge amount of enrichment. We know that it helps to foster that sense of belonging, but Nuffield Foundation found really strong correlations between club participation and pupil outcomings in terms of results. And again, coming back to that sense of belonging is really, really important. The last thing that came through in the research was framing. So when we are challenging non-attendance, and rightfully so, they found in the research that it being personal is quite important. So it coming from the teacher that sees them, and it also being quite positive. So a text message that says, "I'm really sorry I didn't see you today." So, "Hi Gemma, I'm really, really sorry I didn't see you today. We completed this. We really missed you in the lesson. If you could just make contact and let me know that you're safe and well, I'd appreciate it." Keeping it positive, it being personal, so it coming from the teacher is really key. And the other thing, and this is really interesting, really for engaging with both parents and students, is percentages. So it highlights in the research that if you said a child or a young person got 87% on a test, most parents would think 87% is a really good test result. But when we use those percentages for attendance, we argue that that's poor attendance. And what the report gets us to consider is percentages aren't always helpful. If we, however, can say the number of days or the equivalent months of learning missed, that can be more impactful. So, for example, last year I said to a student after reading this piece of research, actually, you've missed the equivalent of 2 months of college. So I see you for 2.5 hours a week, and you've missed literally 8 lessons over the course of a year. That's 2 months worth of college learning that you've missed. Not in one go, but it still has the same detrimental impact. So if we could look at the number of days or months missed, or hours, it can be a bit more impactful for parents to see the amount of learning lost. So thank you for listening. Any questions, as always, just let me know. Thank you.